So the promise. This is what most people go to when they say they're going to write a headline. They skip those first two parts. I think it's a grave error. Most people start writing a headline with this. This is the promise headline, right? Domino's Pizza did it. Hot pizza delivered 30 minutes or less, or it's free. That's a promise headline. It's almost a perfectly structured one. It's actually not almost, it is a perfectly structured one because it actually brought brevity to my formula because they've got some implication in there. So how would you guys like to have finally have a formula that writes winning headlines in 5 minutes flat without any copywriting skills? Guaranteed, or it's free. Would everybody like that? There's the fucking formula. Congratulations. That's it. Seriously, it's quite easy to deconstruct. Finally, now. It finally can be replaced with finally, now, new, right? A formula, that's a thing, that writes winning headlines. Not that teaches you to write winning headlines. The formula itself writes the headlines. That's a big distinction, though. Yeah, that writes winning headlines. How quickly does it do it? 5 minutes flat. So it's new and exciting, thing, desired end result, timeline. This is copywriting 101. Basically, all these guys already know this. Without objections. And if you've got 2 or 3 objections you can put in there, even better. You know, build big muscle today without going to the gym, without running on the treadmill, and without ever lifting a single weight. See, that's a good headline. Because now I want to know, how the hell am I going to do it without the weights? I don't get that part. So I want to read to know, right? But take the objections, the things people don't want to do. We looked at the reasons people don't buy, right? You know, just go through your competitors' products, figure out all the reviews of why they didn't buy it, why they hated it. Put those 3 things in your headline. Now you're inoculating against those objections in the promise headline. And finally, when appropriate, you are giving yourself up that you're selling something when you add the last line, right? But guaranteed, or it's free. If you can put risk reversal in the subheadline, in the headline, it's really good. And if you know that if the person knows you're clearly selling something, then I would absolutely do it. If this is sneak attack, I'm telling you a secret and I'm not really selling you anything till the end, then you might not want to put that there. Because it does sort of show your whiskers that there's something for sale, right? That one thing for me changed everything about copywriting. Learning to write a headline like that, because I can only beat this headline with everything I got about 40% of the time. As a control, it's really hard to beat, you know. So you'll get bored at writing. You'll get sick of writing these things. You'll get so bored of them. You're like, again? Yeah, because it works again. You know, we've got a headline we use in email that's like, where should we ship your whatever? I hate that freaking headline. Hate it. Because it seems like, where are you going to ship your thing? Hey, we've been holding your thing. You hadn't claimed it yet. We don't know where to ship it. It always gets crazy open. Kills it. Kills everything else we run pretty much. And it just pisses me off that we write that same headline over and over again. But it only always works. So today, meet 8 stunning Mongolian women in 5 minutes flat who will all want to date you even if you're 30 years their senior. Guaranteed, or my services are 100% free. Okay. This is totally made up, Sal. You can sit back down. All right. So today, right? That means now, right? Meet 8 stunning Mongolian women. Why didn't I say Asian women? What do you know about Mongolian women? Nothing, right? If I'd have said Asian women or Russian women or any other kind of woman, right? Now, when I go back through this, I say, hey, this could be Mongolian or any other Asian woman. Let me tell you how Asian women think. I could absolutely pivot from this headline, but the headline being Mongolian immediately makes you go, oh, what's special about them? I didn't know anything about them. So in 5 minutes or less, 8 stunning women who all want to date you even if you're 30 years their senior. What do I know about my client? They're ageists too. They all want women way younger than them. That's what they want. So I know that going into this. So their biggest objection is dating women their own age. True, it's true. And I'm assuming here that I'm a matchmaking service or a dating service. So I'll do all that for you, or my services are free. Sounds pretty risk-free. If you're into meeting a Mongolian chick, I'm your dude, right? Right, but you see how that formula works? Who's got a product we can apply the formula to really quick? We'll do some, who's got something we want to apply this to? All right, yeah, what do you got? Yep. Yeah, but you can. So as long as they're not health claims, right? So what's the product? Tell me about the product.
CBD oil for dogs that helps with cancer and allergies.
Yeah, you're going to jail. All right. Anybody else that's, what you got? I'm fucking with you a little bit, but only a little bit. I don't ever use the C word in anything ever. Ever. Yeah. Yeah, basically what you got to think about is, okay, you've got a good example, right? So you're not selling to the dog, right? What you're selling is guilt reduction. Okay? So just know that. Know emotionally what you're selling, right? You know, suddenly your dog is as youthful and playful as he was as a puppy, right? In 24 hours or less, without steroids, chemical drugs, or any special foods. See where I'm going? So you got to get back to the, you know, and when you get into the, in a minute in the deck copy, your imagine's going to all be to imagine Rover doing this, right? There's a great letter. If you can find the catnip sales letter, there's an old sales letter. I've got it. I'll try to find it for you. For a magazine called Catnip, and it was for cat owners. And it was like, do you ever wonder what your cat's thinking? That was their grabber. And the copy's awesome. It says, she has secrets. You know it's true. That's the copy. It was only a control in direct mail for 19 years. And they always referred to the cat as she, which I always thought was amazing. Because they didn't know if the cat was a she or a he, but they knew all their readers were women. It's a great, amazing piece of copy. If you can get if you'll remind me, I'll even post it to the War Room group or whatever. But it's a great piece of copy. But you got to realize that you're selling guilt reduction. You're selling to parents about their kids. So, you know, if it eases their pain, their comfort, whatever, I implore you, please, unless you just like orange as a color, stay away from all those health claims because you don't need them. You really don't need them to sell. Your client wants to feel warm and fuzzy that they're doing the best job that they can to help their dog lead a pain-free life at this point. It's probably pain management more than anything else, right? So just, you know, you're in a double litigious area. Okay, who else said something? Yeah, guy. Oh, hold on, let me throw you the box. If you can stand up, please.
A trading system.
Sure.
The one in simple terms. And that uses a secret, unknown formula.
Yeah.
That insiders are using.
Got it. So what I would the first thing I would do before and I don't know if I can write one for you really quick, but what you're going to do and what most people are going to do is write about the trading system.
Which is wrong.
Right? They don't want a trading system.
No.
They want income.
Yeah.
Right? They want income, something to do, a new skill to learn, right? So today, learn 3 simple skills that can help you make $500, $1,000, $2,000 extra dollars a month right from your computer screen, you know, within the next 30 days, directly from your computer screen. If you've never if you've never bought a stock, read a Wall Street Journal, or even know what a pivot point is, or something like that. Even if something simple as brushing your teeth, et cetera. Those things like that I use a lot. But they don't want a trading system. And that's your problem. You've probably tried to sell them trading systems. They don't want trading systems. They want income, right? And then why do they want the income? Yeah, or preservation. Some of them want it, I'll tell you in your market, by the way, I'll give you a tip you guys should use. I've used it in your market and really effectively in content and some other stuff, but their biggest fear in life, you want to show them, you know how you show Dracula a cross and he goes like that? Show them a photo of a Walmart greeter. Show them a photo of a Walmart greeter. Scares the living shit out of them, right? I wrote a letter, I never published it, but it was like The Path of Two Men. It was, one ends up as a Walmart greeter and one is like, they're both like 70 years old, and one's a Walmart greeter and one is with his wife looking up the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and they're all on vacation. And the difference was guy A did this and guy B did that. They were two army buddies. It's a story of two army buddies. And Army Buddy 1 did this and Army Buddy 2 did that, and here's what happened. There's an old Wall Street Journal letter, The Story of Two Men. And it's a take on that letter. That letter always works. Yeah. Can
you post that letter?
I got to find it. I never published it. I wrote it for, I think, John Carter, and I never published it.
If I post it on the Facebook group, will you post it or remind me to post it?
Yeah, but I might sell it to you, Sal, and take a royalty. Yeah. That means you're a qualified candidate. You think I'm gonna start giving you shit now? I'll send it to you. You guys, I just gotta dig it up. I got a couple of letters, financial letters I've written that are really good. I never published. I did the connect the dots one. So I did a grabber on a letter. I wish I could find it, but I used a hypnotic symbol. So it was about connecting the dots. It was a butterfly effect. And I used an optical maze that you can find on, I just looked up hypnotic images, and there's some hypnotic images that look like they move. Those are amazing grabbers. And it just said, test, can you tell me how many dots are on this page? And there are no dots. It's an optical illusion. But it's an optical illusion. And then I tie that into, much like the stock market, just connecting the dots and reading the research is not nearly enough, yada, 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 yada. And that's how I got into that. And we had a logical statement. It was called the butterfly effect. And basically, the letter was, it'd be a good letter. The letter was, housing prices are going up here. Construction is spiking. There's a shortage of plywood. Everybody knows those things. But what they don't know is the number one supplier of glue for the plywood industry is this Indonesian company, whatever, that's 4 levels deep that nobody will ever get to, and that's where the explosive growth is going to happen because it's kind of hidden. And it was that butterfly effect letter. It was a really good hook. But that was the hook. See where the hook matters? Really matters the story. Okay, so we'll go from that formulaic headline. By the way, that formulaic headline, don't discount that.
I was wondering if we could spend extra maybe 30 seconds or a minute, since the business model we do is a matchmaking, we can apply this template to it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So whatever it is that you're doing, right? I should have that screen in here, and I forgot to put it in. But it's basically, finally is now. Mm-hmm. That can be replaced with now, finally, new, announcing, any statement. And if you look through your keyword list, mm-hmm. I've got a section in there that's like, what means new, right? The next is the promise, mm-hmm. right? Now, this case, I put in a formula of that, but you can put whatever you'd like in there, but that delivers the end result, right? So it's finally get the end result that you want, right? Finally, desired end result. And the desired end result, right-winning headlines, for your group is a good, for this group was a good letter, because you guys are direct on, you're an incredibly qualified audience. if I didn't know anything about you, finally a formula that allows you to write 6 words on the page and make this much money, right? Because 6 words on a page, if you're not a copywriter, you don't give a shit about a headline, right? So the more broad the market, the more you have to back up and really peel the onion back to what's the desired end result. In 5 minutes or less, a timeline. Everybody wants a timeline. Be super careful, cautious of this with anything weight loss. If you guys in the weight loss market, when you make a claim, and I'm not a lawyer, but when you make a claim in the weight loss market about a specific result and a specific timeline, the FTC really hates that. Or if you say I'm going to make this much money in this much time, the FTC really hates that. You say I make this much money, you could say, essentially say we make this much money, this has been my experience. If you don't put a timeline with it, it's more easy to defend. And then without is the objections, whatever they are. If it's one big objection and that big objection is the primary objection to everyone, I would only use one. If there are 2 or 3 objections that are similar, that are equally as important when you're going through your research, I could use up to 3, right? So you could say, finally, build big muscles without riding a treadmill, without running, bicycling, or ever lifting a weight. So the more stuff, if you're going to use the multiple objections, you want to eliminate all the obvious answers. Does that make sense? Because I build big muscles. Well, how? Lift a bunch of weights, asshole, right? But when you eliminate those answers, when you eliminate those obvious things, guy says, well, how the hell are you supposed to do that? So maybe it's calisthenics, maybe it's stretch bands, maybe it's whatever it is you're teaching, right? But you sort of want to eliminate the big things out. Without any copywriting skills is not really the greatest, I should have written how to create winning headlines without ever writing a word. Would have been better, right? Well, how the hell you do that? Well, you do it with a microphone, right? So you got the more you can make people say, how the hell are they going to do that? The better. And don't be afraid of how big the claim is here. As far as believability goes, make sure you're within your legal boundaries. But as far as believability goes, don't worry too much about how big the claim is. Try to make it pretty bold. Okay. Yeah. The guaranteed part's only there if you really are. If they already know. Heads up. Oh, sorry. If they already know, yeah. Or you're risking your. Otherwise, you can suck people into a story without them knowing you're selling something. But if they know you're selling them something, you might as well tell them up front. Yeah.
So you already know my business, what we basically do. How would you have the grabber in my situation, like what we are teaching beauticians how to do microblading?
Oh, your thing's pretty good because, I don't know about claims, medical claims, okay? Or not medical claims, about financial claims. But, I would ask them, I would probably say $400 an hour, question mark? Are you making $400 an hour in your beautician chair? I didn't think so, right? But did you know there's something you could offer where you can make $400 an hour? $400 an hour. You'd have to work all day to do that. You got to be on your feet. That might be my thing of showing them how they're poorly investing their time, where they could offer your service. She does an eyelash thing where they hack your eyelashes up with a scalpel and stuff. I'm just kidding. But no, she does the microblading thing, and it's like, isn't it like $400?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
And it takes like how long?
45 minutes, 1 hour.
45 minutes, so an hour. So $400 an hour. So attention stylists make more per hour than a trial lawyer. You've got a way to, you can talk about, your big thing is they can be investing their time a lot more wisely, right? So that the grabber, you'd have to think about the hardest part with grabbers is how do you condense them down to be shocking, right? Make more, an interesting thing would be make more money by never doing hair again. Now it's more of a replacement offer. Stylist, hairstyling is dead, compared to what I can do. You'd have to work all day long to make as much money as I make in 45 minutes. You want to know how? Of course you do, right? So you just have to work on how you formulate that. But I think that would be, in my opinion, that's your hook.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So you guys get this, right? So the secret of this is just trying to come up with it, making it as concise as possible. I love the old quote. I forget who wrote it, but it was like, I think it was Mark Twain says, "Excuse the length of this letter. I didn't have very much time to write it." I want to apologize in advance for how long this letter is. I didn't have very much time to write it. The hardest part of writing is brevity. You know, if you can get that down to like, you look at what they did with Domino's Pizza, it was genius. They didn't have to say so many words. A lot of it was implied already. Hot pizza, that was the number one thing everybody wanted. Delivered. So delivered, the one word delivered took up a sentence. That you didn't have to say, and we'll put it in the car and drive it to your house. Delivered, 30 minutes or less, or it's free. It was incredibly tight messaging. So the more tight you can get the message, you know,